Hello and welcome to another video on cybersecurity related stuff, and on this one I'm going to be showing the reverse VPN. I did a video on TikTok sort of explaining what that is, and I'll upload that soon, so it'll already be uploaded on YouTube before this one goes out, so you can see it and know why an attacker would want to use a reverse VPN, why they're helpful to them, and in a pen testing scenario as well. So what I've got is I've got the packet squirrel. It's all wired in at the minute, so I can't show you, but it is a small matchbox sized device with two Ethernet ports, one in, one out. And on it is what we're going to actually be connecting to it. So it's going to facilitate our VPN client. So it's going to be the sneaky thing that we plant on the inside of the network. I'm going to show you how it's set up and why that's then useful. So for a VPN to work of any sort, whether you're using it as a reverse VPN or standard, you need to have two things at least, a server and a client. So I'm going to show you how to set up the server and then how we give that config onto Packet Squirrel and give it the config so that it can then connect and give us remote access. So this here on the left is my sneaky server. You'll have seen it in the last video. And you can see if I KVMs. There we go. I have more than one machine, so I have a keyboard and mouse connects to different ones depending what button I push. So you can see here I've got the OpenVPN install sh, and then it might be hard to read, social engineer toolkit. That was for a previous video. So what I'm going to do is run the uninstall script. I'll put links as to where you can get that script in the description. So what I'm going to do is sudo. Okay, it's asking me for a public IP address or host name, so that's fine. I'm going to leave that as is. Protocol for this, I am going to change it to TCP. UDP is recommended, but for what we want to do, we want it to be on TCP. And port, we want it to go on 443. Now, the reason for that is most, that's fine. Enter name for the client, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so the rest of them are next, finished. And you can, if you're just doing this for testing purposes, you can just next, finish. But the reason that we changed it to TCP and port 443 is because that is the port and protocol that's typically used for HTTPS, which is internet traffic, so general internet traffic. And on most firewalls and most companies, that's allowed by almost every machine. You're allowed to go out to the internet. You're allowed to go out in 443. And so that's why you're using that, because then it bypasses a hell of a lot of the security, and it's very difficult to spot. I do have a video series on TikTok going at the minute where I'm showing how you can stop that and at what points you can stop that. But yeah, so you can check that out if you like. So you see here that the client configuration is available in root/client.ovpn, and we can run the script again to make more clients, but that's fine. We only need the one. So what I need to do is I need to take this file and get it into the packet squirrel. Now you could do SFTP and all that to actually transfer the file, but to be honest, all I do is copy and paste the contents of it across. It works exactly the same way. So what we're going to do is we're going to cat. Oh, and remember, because it's in the root folder, you need the sudo, and there it is. And so all we're doing is we're going to copy the entire contents of this file and paste it into the packet squirrel. Now, what I need to do, the packet squirrel is currently in attack mode. It's currently got a VPN already running. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect it and put it into arming mode, which will then let us connect to it and load in. Okay, whoops. So the packet squirrel has an in and out port. It's specific, but they're not actually directly labeled, and I had them plugged in the wrong way around. I need to put a sticky note on them or something. So that's it in the right way around. That's why we weren't able to SSH. So I just need to wait for it to boot up again, and then we'll be able to get into it. There we go. And now we're on to the packet squirrel. If we ls, we can see we've got a folder called payloads, which we can go into. And I know that it is under switch 3. So there's 3 payloads that this can do. The third switch is the VPN, and you can see here I've got a config.ovpn file, and so what I just need to do is nano that, and we can see we've got a blank config file, so I can paste into that. That's it, and that's it. That's pasted the config that we got from the server, and if I exit and save that, it's now ready to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to disconnect the packet squirrel again. Change it to switch 3, which is what we have the payload under. and we're going to then connect back to my sneaky server, and we'll see if we've got a connection in. Now, I have this going through a switch, which doesn't have any port security, that's important, and also a firewall. So I have a firewall set up that's set up in a rough config of what a typical company might have. It's a lot cleaner than what a company would have because there is no firewall in the world that any company is using that is set up to the correct config and everything is exactly as it should be, because they add rules in, they take rules out, things get moved around. But this is sort of it's set up in a general best practice, and so you'll see that we'll actually still be able to get through that firewall once the attack starts. Another point I'd like to point out, again, as with everything else in these videos, any public IP addresses, these keys that you can see here, these static keys and stuff like that, they'll all be blown away after I finish this video. So don't be thinking, haha, I'm gonna go attack his servers. Don't. All of the stuff will be blown away. The IPs are dynamic, so it'll be reassigned to someone else. It will not be me. Okay, we've got internet connection again, so if I SSH onto my sneaky server, and you can see here the it's got an internal IP address, it's just 172, and then this tunnel IP address, which is 10.8.0.1, and we can assume that the next IP address in the range is probably going to be the packet squirrel. So if I ping 10.8.0.1, no, .2, and we'll see if we get a response. And we are in fact getting responses back from it, so that's fine. I'll break that, and let's SSH to it. So we're going to SSH root at 10.8.0.2, asking us for the password, so the connection's got through, and we are now connected to the packet squirrel via a cloud server. And that's, as I said, behind a firewall, behind a switch, albeit without port security. We'll talk about that in another video. And it's letting me into the network. I now have access into this network, and I can start doing Nmap scans, which I'm not going to do, actually, now that I think about it, because it'll scan my whole home network, and I don't want to give you that information. But I can run Nmap scans, I can do recon, I can do all that good stuff from here. And that's why this is useful to an attacker. The reason that this doesn't work the other way around is because the client is doing an outbound connection. And most companies, as I say, especially on port 443, they let outbound connections go. Fine, it doesn't matter to them, because typically it's just internet traffic. But this can show you that, you know, we can make that port be whatever we want, really. So all we need to do is find out what port are they letting out, and we can use that to make our attack. So hopefully you like that. If you want to see more like this, let me know, and yeah, I'll see you later on.